What's up, people? My name is Parker. We're here today at the Live Bearded Warehouse. We're gonna hook up my man Justin today. We discussed a little bit about what we're gonna be doing. Today is a nice little mid-fade, giving a little bit of contrast between the skin and the length on the top, and we're gonna give him a nice little beard trim. So let's get started. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm setting in my first guideline using my clippers at a 0. And I'm going to do that going all the way around the head. What I'm doing now is I'm running my trimmer just below that 0.3 line, and that's going to take this length down to a 5.0. So we're not going to go all the way down quite to skin. We're just going to give him a nice trimmer 5.0 fade here. All right, so I got my one guard on. I'm gonna go ahead and open that lever up. That's gonna give me a 1.5. I'm gonna run that up about halfway to the parietal ridge. I got my 0 here, my 1.5. I'm gonna take my clipper open and create my third guideline just a little bit above where I ran that 3.0. There's not too much of a change in contrast between his 0 and 1.5, so I need to be careful when running this that I'm not taking it up too high. Otherwise he's gonna end up with a high and tight. I prefer the method of running about a 2.5, just getting rid of this bulk up to the parietal ridge, and then I can use my shear and clipper over comb technique. For the overhang here, I'm going to use my clipper over comb and just come up off the edge of the head and take that little bit off. Everything above that is going to be all shear work into the length at the middle. All right, so we got the haircut done. We're gonna start working on the beard. The first thing, as I'm looking at a beard, I'm gonna comb through it and I'm gonna kind of look for what I would expect after a long grow out process, which is a little bit here at the corner is gonna sit a lot lower than the front. Reason being is that the jaws are the widest point of the face. So as this grows out over time, you're naturally gonna have more length in this back corner. I see that it needs a little bit of shaping here through the front. It can always get a little bit unruly down there at the bottom, so I'm gonna clean all that up. I'm not gonna do much to the mustache. He likes to keep that nice old school handlebar mustache. I'll do a little fading here from the fade into the length of the beard, a little shape up, and that'll be that. Let's get started. I'm setting in my perimeter cut, trying to keep it as natural as possible. I do not want to push this into the growth that he has. If a couple of hairs come off naturally, if he grows way back here, that's all right, but I'm just trying to keep that nice and natural. I'm going to come straight in with the clipper. As you can see, this back length is much longer than the length in the front, so if I do this right, I can angle my trim to meet the length at the front of the beard. So I can really clean this up a lot without taking any of the length off from the front. So I'm going to set that in there. Coming straight across again. I'm not trying to push this up too high. If I push it up too high, I'm going to be cutting into the length that he's been allowing to grow here. So I really want to keep that hang time from the edge covering his natural growth down here. Now that I've set in my perimeter along the edge and along the bottom, all of this growth that's grown from the top of the cheek, if he's been letting this grow, realistically is going to be growing all the way down to this edge that I just cut in. Cutting it here and not doing anything to the rest would be as if I took his bangs and cut those and didn't cut the rest of the top of the hair. And I'm going to just grab that, I'm going to pull it out and just trim up just the edges, the very tips of that length that's been growing, and that's just going to give it a nice, even, layered trim from the bottom all the way to the top cheek line. So it just ends up being a little bit, I'm not trying to take any length off, I'm just trying to even the hair. I've set in my perimeter, I've done my trimming coming up to the cheek line with my clipper over comb. Now I'm ready to do a little bit of sculpting. One of the biggest things that I notice a lot of people do, both customers and barbers, is they cut a line into the neckline, which in my opinion, as long as you have the growth to cover the hair that's growing up, I would just leave that. What this hair at the bottom does is it grows up into the rest of the length of the beard and creates more density. So you're not going to be as transparent or see-through going through the hair at the front. So that's one thing I always try to leave as much as possible. If you want to do a little cleanup just to get a little bit of structure in that line, you can, but I definitely would not pick this up and get rid of all of this hair here. It's a big no-no in my opinion. I've set in my rough draft of my beard trim. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to sculpt the beard. What that means for me is that I'm going to come down. I want this to look like all one piece, so any angles, flip outs, misdirections, redirections, I'm going to try to get rid of all of that in order to make it look like one unit. So I'm going to sculpt coming down, and I'm going to be looking at it from every angle, creating the shape that I want. What I could have done from the beginning is I could have washed the beard, all the product out of the beard. I could have blow dried it straight, hit it with some hairspray, get it set in place, done my sculpting, and got it picture perfect ready, which is great for social media. But what I like to do is give a little bit more of a functional beard trim and get it to lay and be where it wants to live. So if I was to blow dry all this out and get it all styled and picture perfect for social media, and he doesn't do that on his own time, it might end up a little bit different than the way that we've shaped it today. And that's a wrap, fellas. Thanks for watching. Again, my name is Parker with Sungo Tattoo and Barber, and as always, live bearded.